You're checking my credit cards again, aren't you? Melissa froze with my wallet in her hands. For just a second, I saw something I'd never seen before. Not embarrassment, not guilt. Calculation. My name's Blake. I'm 36 and I catch people who steal money electronically. Melissa had been doing this routine for almost a month now. Going through my wallet while I showered, checking bank statements when she thought I wasn't looking. After 11 years working cybersecurity at Phoenix Security Solutions, I know suspicious behavior when I see it. She looked up with that smile she always used when caught, just looking for the hardware store receipt. You know how I get about expenses. I knew exactly how she got about expenses. We lived in Austin in a condo we could barely afford because Melissa had to keep up with her friend Sarah's lifestyle. The same Sarah who posted vacation photos from Europe while we saved for camping trips. If you enjoy stories about betrayal and how the truth always comes out, hit that like button and subscribe right now. Every day brings new stories, each one more shocking than the last. Hardware receipts are in the desk drawer, I said. Same place they've always been. She put my wallet back, but the angle was wrong. Small detail, but in cybersecurity, small details matter. I'd been investigating financial fraud for years. Corporate theft, identity fraud, employee scams. The patterns were always the same. Someone gets access they shouldn't have. They start small, test the waters, then get bolder. Melissa headed upstairs. I'm calling my sister about Thanksgiving. I watched her go, then checked my wallet. Everything looked normal, but normal doesn't mean safe. She'd been handling my cards, studying them, memorizing numbers and security codes. Financial fraud always starts with opportunity. Someone leaves their information exposed or trusts the wrong person. I'd seen marriages destroyed by this more times than I could count. I went to my office and opened the fraud monitoring software I used for client demos. If someone was planning to access my accounts without permission, they were about to learn a hard lesson. That evening, I set up something special. A bait card connected to an account with exactly $60,000. The same monitoring systems I used to catch corporate thieves would track every transaction. GPS locations, merchant details, timestamps, everything needed to build a solid case. I placed the card exactly where my regular debit card usually sat. 4 days later, it was gone. I met Melissa 6 years ago at a tech conference downtown. She was finishing her business degree, working part-time at a luxury watch store. Smart, ambitious, and fascinated by financial security. My work captivated her. "You're like a detective," she'd said on our second date, "but for money crimes." Back then, her curiosity seemed genuine. She asked detailed questions about payment systems, fraud detection, transaction monitoring. I explained how it all worked, showed her case studies, even demonstrated some tracking software. Looking back, I was training my future adversary. We married 4 years later. Small ceremony, reasonable budget. Melissa had wanted something bigger, but my Phoenix security salary couldn't support the kind of wedding Sarah had thrown. Sarah married a crypto entrepreneur, lived in a house overlooking the lake, drove a car worth more than I made in a year. The comparison started subtly. Comments about Sarah's vacations, her designer bags, the restaurants she frequented. Melissa never complained directly, but the message was clear. We weren't keeping up. I took freelance work to boost our income. Late nights helping startups with security systems. The extra money helped, but couldn't bridge the gap between our life and Sarah's. Melissa started working more hours at the watch store, but somehow her paychecks got smaller. When I asked, she said the manager cut commissions. Made sense. Luxury retail was struggling. The warning signs had been there for weeks. Questions about my travel schedule, my work meetings. Casual inquiries about banking security, how quickly suspicious transactions get flagged, what spending amounts trigger alerts. She framed it as interest in my expertise, but I recognized reconnaissance. A month ago, she'd started the wallet searches. Always when I was distracted, always with reasonable excuses. Looking for receipts that were always somewhere else. Checking for business cards I never carried. I should have confronted her then. But part of me needed to know how far she'd go. In my line of work, assumptions get you fired. Evidence gets convictions. The morning the bait card disappeared, Melissa made pancakes. Normal routine, normal conversation. She mentioned possibly meeting Sarah for lunch. "Nothing expensive," she said, kissing me goodbye. You know how careful I am. I watched her drive away, then checked the monitoring system. The card was active. The first alert came at 10:47 a.m. Single transaction, $800, upscale boutique downtown. I was in a client meeting when my phone buzzed. Standard protocol, any purchase over 500 triggers alerts. I stepped outside and checked details. She'd used the card at a store she'd mentioned visiting with Sarah. Designer accessories, luxury handbags, the kind of place requiring appointments. 30 minutes later, another alert. $3,000. Same store. then another. By lunch, she'd spent $12,000 on luxury goods, handbags, shoes, jewelry. Each purchase tracked with GPS coordinates and timestamp data. I sat in my car watching the alerts pile up. This wasn't impulse buying. This was systematic, planned spending. She knew exactly what she wanted. At 1:30 p.m., everything changed. Travel booking downtown Austin. $6,000 for airline tickets. The transaction included passenger data and destination info. London, England. Business class. Departing the next morning. I drove home and checked our joint accounts. She hadn't touched them. Smart move. Taking shared money would be harder to explain. But the bait card was linked to an account she didn't know existed. That evening, Melissa cooked dinner like nothing happened. Discussed her day, mentioned shopping with Sarah, complained about traffic. Perfect performance. If I hadn't been monitoring in real time, I'd never have suspected anything. After dinner, she packed a suitcase. Sarah invited me to a wellness retreat, she said. Last-minute thing. Her treat, that's generous. We leave early tomorrow. I'll probably be gone through the weekend. I helped carry her suitcase to the car, kissed her goodbye, watched her drive away for what she claimed was a local retreat. 25 minutes later, another alert. Airport parking, long-term lot. Then silence. At 4 a.m. Central Time, my phone exploded with notifications. Transaction after transaction, all from London. Hotels, restaurants, shopping districts. The bait card was funding a European vacation while I sat in our Austin condo watching every stolen dollar in real time. She thought she was stealing from me. Instead, she was documenting her own crimes with digital precision. I made coffee and settled in to watch. 11 years of fraud investigation had taught me patience. Evidence gathered carefully was evidence that lasted in court. By the end of the week, she'd spent almost $50,000 of what she believed was my money. The international alert started day 2 of Melissa's retreat. The fraud monitoring system was designed to catch sophisticated crimes, and it was performing perfectly. Every transaction triggered notifications to multiple databases. My monitoring system, Phoenix Security's network, and international tracking protocols. By Wednesday, Melissa had activated security measures beyond her imagination. The bait card wasn't just monitored by me. It was flagged by systems tracking suspicious international spending and potential money laundering. Her London shopping spree triggered automatic reviews by 3 different financial crime units. The volume and pattern, first-class flights paid for with a card that had been dormant for months, luxury purchases totaling tens of thousands in days, suggested either legitimate wealth or criminal activity. The kind of spending that sent red flags through international banking networks. Thursday afternoon, I got a call from Agent Lisa Chen with the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, same agency I consulted with on corporate cases. Blake, we've detected unusual activity on one of your monitored accounts, she said. International transactions, high volume. Pattern suggests potential unauthorized usage. I'm aware, I told her. It's part of a personal investigation. Personal investigation? Someone close to me has been accessing financial information without authorization. I set up a monitoring system to document the extent of the fraud. There was a long pause. Blake, are you telling me you're running a sting operation on someone in your own household? I'm documenting unauthorized access to financial accounts. The subject believes they're accessing funds without detection. They're wrong. Agent Chen was quiet for a moment. How much money are we talking about? Approximately $47,000 so far. All tracked, all documented, all connected to accounts the subject was never authorized to access. Blake, do you understand what you've stumbled into? This isn't just personal fraud anymore. International transactions over $50,000 trigger automatic money laundering investigations. Customs enforcement in the UK has been flagged. Immigration has her passport flagged for enhanced screening on return. I sat down at my desk and pulled up the transaction logs. Melissa's European adventure had evolved from simple theft into an international financial crime investigation. Her unauthorized use of the bait card had created a digital paper trail that spanned multiple countries and involved numerous law enforcement agencies. What happens when she tries to come home? I asked. Enhanced customs screening. Detailed financial questioning. If she can't prove legitimate source of funds for her purchases, things get complicated quickly. But what Agent Chen told me next changed everything I thought I understood about Melissa's betrayal. Blake, we've been tracking your wife's transactions across multiple networks, she said. This isn't her first time using stolen financial information for international travel. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? We found records of similar spending patterns going back 14 months. Different cards, different accounts, but the same signature behavior. Luxury travel, high-end shopping, first-class accommodations. I sat down hard in my kitchen chair. That's impossible. She's never traveled internationally without me. According to our records, she's made 3 previous trips to Europe using financial information that wasn't registered to her name. Paris, Barcelona, and Amsterdam. Always first-class flights, always luxury accommodations, always funded through accounts she shouldn't have had access to. The room felt like it was spinning. Whose accounts? We're still investigating, but preliminary evidence suggests she's been accessing financial information from multiple sources. Credit cards belonging to her employer, former roommates, even family members. That evening, Melissa called from London. Background noise suggested an expensive restaurant. "Blake, honey, I'm having an incredible time," she said. "Sarah knows all the perfect places here. We've been shopping, dining at amazing restaurants." I paused. She'd just admitted being in London when she was supposed to be at a local retreat. "London?" I asked carefully. Silence, then forced laughter. "Did I say London? I meant the retreat has this European theme. Classical music, staff with accents. It's like being in London without leaving Texas. Sounds elaborate. You know these high-end places? Everything's themed now. Oh, I found this amazing boutique in the gift shop. Got you something special." After she hung up, I checked the logs. 3 more purchases that evening. $2,000 at a restaurant, $1,500 at a wine shop, $4,000 at what appeared to be a jewelry store on Bond Street. Friday morning, Agent Chen called again. "Blake, we need to talk in person. The international scope of this case has expanded beyond personal fraud. Can you come in this afternoon?" I drove to the federal building in downtown Austin and met Agent Chen in a conference room filled with documents, transaction printouts, and computer monitors displaying financial tracking data. "Your wife's spending pattern has triggered investigations in 3 countries, she said. The UK, France, and the United States. The volume of transactions, the luxury focus, the sudden international travel, it all suggests potential money laundering or organized financial crime. It's not organized crime. It's personal betrayal. I understand that. But the evidence doesn't care about motivation. What matters is the pattern of behavior and the paper trail she's created." "Blake, is everything okay?" she asked. "I need to ask about Melissa's trips. The retreats, the shopping excursions. How many have you actually been on together?" Long pause. "Blake, I haven't been on a trip with Melissa in over a year. We had coffee last month, that's it." "Why?" The pieces fell into place. Melissa had been using Sarah as cover. Every retreat with Sarah had been a solo crime spree funded by stolen money. Agent Chen called back that afternoon with more details. "We've identified at least 6 different accounts she's accessed without authorization," she said. Her employer's corporate credit card, her sister's personal accounts, credit cards belonging to former co-workers. The pattern suggests she's been systematically gathering financial information and using it to fund a luxury lifestyle. How did she get access to all these accounts? We're still investigating, but it appears she's been photographing cards, memorizing numbers, and even using her position at the watch store to access customer payment information. The watch store. Perfect position to gather financial information from wealthy customers. That evening, I searched Melissa's belongings. Hidden in her jewelry box, I found a notebook filled with credit card numbers, expiration dates, security codes, names I didn't recognize, account information for cards that weren't hers. At the bottom, a list of European cities with dates and amounts, a criminal ledger documenting years of theft. My phone rang, Melissa calling from London. "Blake, I'll be home tomorrow evening. Can't wait to see you." "Can't wait to see you too," I said. What I didn't tell her was that federal agents would be waiting. Sunday morning, Agent Chen called with final coordination details. Melissa's flight was scheduled to land at Austin Bergstrom at 7:30 p.m. Customs and Border Protection had been briefed on the investigation. Immigration officials were prepared for enhanced screening procedures. When she lands, she'll go through normal passport control first, Agent Chen explained. Then she'll be directed to secondary inspection for routine customs screening. That's when we'll begin questioning about the source of funds for her purchases. What happens if she tries to claim I authorized the spending? We'll verify that story with you directly. But Blake, the evidence we've gathered suggests this goes far beyond unauthorized use of your accounts. She's been running a sophisticated financial fraud operation for over a year. I spent the day preparing for Melissa's return. Cleaned the house, organized the evidence I'd gathered, reviewed the transaction logs one final time. By evening, the bait card showed total spending of $49,700. Every purchase documented, every transaction tracked, every dollar creating another piece of evidence for federal prosecutors. At 7:15, I received a text from Melissa. "Just landed. Can't wait to show you everything." 20 minutes later, my phone rang. "Agent Chen, she's in secondary inspection now. Customs found over $35,000 worth of luxury goods in her luggage. Designer handbags, jewelry, expensive clothing. When asked about the source of funds, she claimed her husband had given her permission to use his credit card for the trip. And you told them? We're verifying her story now. Are you prepared to make a statement regarding authorization for these purchases? I looked at the transaction logs on my computer screen. $49,700 in unauthorized charges. Years of stolen financial information. A notebook full of credit card numbers belonging to other people. I never authorized any spending. She accessed financial information without permission and used it to fund international travel and luxury purchases. That's what we expected. Blake, you should know that she's also carrying a second set of credit cards, names and account numbers that don't match any cards registered to your household. The stolen card information from her notebook. Even on her return flight, Melissa had been carrying evidence of her crimes. At 8:45, Agent Chen called again. She's been arrested on charges of credit card fraud, identity theft, and international money laundering. The evidence from your monitoring system, combined with the stolen card she was carrying, gives us a solid federal case. What happens now? Federal custody, held pending arraignment. Given the international scope and sophisticated methods, she's looking at significant prison time. At 9:30, I received a call from a number I didn't recognize. Blake, this is Melissa. I'm allowed one phone call. There's been a terrible misunderstanding. Can you come to the airport and clear this up? What kind of misunderstanding? They think I stole money for the trip. I told them you gave me permission to use your card. Just tell them it was authorized and we can go home. I looked at the transaction logs on my computer screen. $49,700 in unauthorized charges. Years of stolen financial information. A notebook full of credit card numbers belonging to other people. Melissa, I never gave you permission to use any of my accounts. Silence on the line. Blake, please, I can explain everything. I'm sure you can. Save the explanation for your lawyer. I hung up and turned off my phone. The house felt quiet for the first time in years. The arraignment was scheduled for Tuesday morning at the federal courthouse in downtown Austin. I sat in the gallery as Melissa was brought in, wearing an orange jumpsuit, her hands cuffed behind her back. The woman who had spent $50,000 on designer goods in London looked smaller now, diminished by the reality of federal criminal charges. Assistant United States Attorney Sarah Rodriguez read the charges aloud. Credit card fraud, identity theft, international money laundering, conspiracy to commit financial crimes. Each charge carried potential prison sentences measured in years, not months. Your Honor, Attorney Rodriguez said, the defendant engaged in a sophisticated criminal enterprise spanning over 14 months. She systematically accessed financial information belonging to multiple victims, used that information to fund luxury international travel, and attempted to conceal her crimes through elaborate deception. Melissa's court-appointed attorney requested bail, arguing that she was a first-time offender with ties to the community. Attorney Rodriguez responded by presenting evidence of the international scope of her crimes, the sophisticated methods she used, and the substantial financial losses to multiple victims. The defendant poses a significant flight risk, she argued. She has demonstrated a pattern of international travel funded by stolen money. She has shown expertise in accessing and exploiting financial systems, and the evidence suggests she was planning additional crimes at the time of her arrest. Judge Robert Martinez reviewed the evidence, including the notebook of stolen credit card information found in Melissa's possession and the detailed transaction logs from my monitoring system. The court finds that the defendant poses both a flight risk and a danger to the community, Judge Martinez ruled. The systematic nature of these crimes, the international scope, and the sophisticated methods employed suggest a high likelihood of continued criminal activity if released. Bail is denied. Melissa looked back at me as she was led away. I didn't wave. Outside the courthouse, Agent Chen handed me a folder containing financial recovery information. The $50,000 from your Bait account will be returned within 30 days, she said. As for the other victims, we're working with international law enforcement to trace and recover stolen funds. I drove home to an empty house and started making phone calls to change every password, every account number, every piece of financial information Melissa had ever seen. 4 months later, Melissa pleaded guilty to federal financial crimes charges. The evidence was overwhelming. The transaction logs from my monitoring system, the notebook of stolen credit cards, testimony from other victims who had unknowingly funded her European adventures. She received a sentence of 96 months in federal prison, followed by 36 months of supervised release. Restitution was set at over $350,000, representing the total amount stolen from all victims over 14 months of criminal activity. The jewelry store where she worked was also investigated. Owner Michael Santos discovered that Melissa had been systematically photographing customer credit cards during transactions, using her position to gather financial information from wealthy clients. 4 additional victims came forward, all customers who had shopped at the store and later discovered unauthorized charges on their accounts. Sarah called me after the sentencing hearing. Blake, I had no idea what she was doing. All those times she said we were traveling together, she was lying to both of us. I know, you weren't the only one she deceived. Is there anything I can do? Just remember that some people aren't who they pretend to be. I moved out of the Austin house 8 months later. Too many memories, too many reminders of the life I'd built with someone who had been lying from the beginning. I took a new position with a cybersecurity firm in Austin specializing in financial fraud prevention. The irony wasn't lost on me. The skills that made me good at catching corporate thieves were essential for documenting my wife's crimes. The bait card meant to catch a suspicious spouse exposed an international criminal operation. Sometimes the person closest to you is the one you know least. 6 years together, and I'd been living with a stranger who saw me as just another source of money. But her greed became her downfall. She got so comfortable with crime that she made one fatal mistake. She tried to steal from someone who catches thieves for a living. The cybersecurity expert became the victim, but more importantly, became the one who brought the criminal to justice. If you enjoyed this story about betrayal and how expertise can expose the truth, please like this video and let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and notification bell for more stories like this. Thanks for watching. See you next time.